politicians come from? The boardroom? Halls of justice? Maybe. Do you know many parliamentarians started their careers in the locker rooms of the Canadian Football League?
Politics is a contact sport. The only thing that you don't have in politics is the physical beating that you take. But I can tell you that the emotional beating that you can take is maybe a little stronger than the physical beating that you take in football.
And Sonny, with his deep receivers covered, dumps one to Larry Smith, who bursts to the Montreal 49.
Senator Larry Smith won 2 Grey Cup championships with the Montreal Alouettes as a running back.
He played for a team that we didn't really like very much because they beat us all the time. So they beat us in 1970 for the Grey Cup in Toronto. I remember Larry is a very, very good football player, a better football player than myself.
Jim was a graduate from the University of Ottawa and was a defensive halfback with the Calgary Stampeders during the 70s. And our paths crossed a few times, and Jim was an excellent football player and had a very good career. And I was actually lucky enough to score a touchdown when Jim was covering me.
Football takes guts, and the Stamps have produced some gutsy politicians. Patrick Mahoney came from the team's executive offices before he dared to run under the Liberal banner in 1968 and became the last Liberal elected in Calgary. Jim Cilia was part of the upstart reform movement that emerged in 1993.
We were a team, and we came to Ottawa, and of course we were naive and we were very ideological, idealistic, and thought we could change things. But we gave it a best effort, and I think we did a good job. I think the quality of people that we had in that 35th Parliament did make a difference.
I asked the Prime Minister, when can Canadians expect to pay less taxes in a current year than they did the year before?
Team sports brings people together. Politics, I think, brings people together. And I think more and more people should get involved in politics. Not enough people do.
He remembers the game in 1971 against the Toronto Argonauts.
You fight all year. You win some, you lose some, you get in the playoffs, the pressure of the playoffs, every play counts, you're on the sidelines, you're watching the clock, there's 2 minutes left, the 2 minutes seems like an eternity. That Grey Cup that we won in Vancouver against the Argonauts, the ball flip-flopped back and forth in the last 2 minutes so many times between kicks and punts and fumbles and it was just everything you could think of in 2 minutes. It seemed like 20 minutes, like an eternity. Then we finally won.
After nearly 20 years without a Grey Cup victory, golden opportunity had again slipped from the Argos' grasp.
One of the names found on the Grey Cup is Lionel Conacher, who is nicknamed the Big Train. He was Canada's athlete of the half-century, and his name is also engraved on the Stanley Cup. Winning in sports wasn't enough, so in 1937, he won a seat in the Ontario legislature, and then in 1949, he was elected as the Liberal MP for Toronto Trinity. During the 1954 annual baseball game between members of Parliament and the press gallery, he hit a triple and sprinted to third base and collapsed from a heart attack. He died doing what he loved, playing sports and politics. In the same year Lionel Conacher passed away, another parliamentarian was winning a Grey Cup championship.
It's war, the gloves are off, it's going to be high sticking, and boy are they going to be kicking them around.
Steve Poprosky played with the Edmonton Eskimos, and he went on to serve as the Minister of State for Fitness and Amateur Sports for Prime Minister Joe Clark. George Hees was part of the 1938 Toronto Argonauts Grey Cup champions, but when he first ran for the House of Commons, he failed. But he tried again, and in 1950 became the Progressive Conservative Member of Parliament for Toronto Broadview.
Once I get on a team, that team has got to win as far as I'm concerned. And once I'm on a team, I work like hell for them.
During his 35 years as a parliamentarian, he experienced as much excitement in politics as on the football field. As the Minister of Transport for Prime Minister John Diefenbaker, he oversaw the opening of the St. Lawrence Seaway, and he was part of the action in the dramatic leadership battles with Robert Stanfield, Joe Clark, and Brian Mulrooney.
Anybody that is in a cabinet that doesn't want to be Prime Minister isn't doing their full job.
As the owner of 2 Grey Cup champions, the BC Lions and the Toronto Argonauts, Senator David Braley understands the relationship between the game on the field and the game in Parliament.
Well, as an owner, it's different than as a player. Okay, the owner basically can set the strategy and put the pieces in place and then has to watch as it unfolds, like management has to do, and the Senate is a very, very similar process. But the people on the floor have to do battle. If the Prime Minister was in the CFL, he would have to be the owner because he'd be responsible for hiring the quarterback or the president, the head coach, and then allowing the people to do their jobs and to make a success of it. Well, here he has a very similar structure as you would have in a football, but he'd be the owner if he was in the CFL.
When you're in Parliament and you pass a bill, it's an accomplishment. But it also teaches you that there's more work to be done, and that every day you have to be at the top of your game, not only as an individual, but as a team, to make sure that you can move a bill forward that will help move your country forward.
David Berger was the CFL president in 1978, and he also served as the director for the Montreal Alouettes.
Shakespeare said all the world's a stage, right? And football and professional sports, you're on a stage, and Parliament, you're on a stage.
Former Senator Leo Kolber and one of Prime Minister Trudeau's cabinet, the Honourable Don Johnson, also lent their skills and knowledge to the football franchise.
Who killed the Canadian dollar? All he has to do is look around.
Marketing football or marketing political ideas, yes, there's some of the same skills. You've got to go out and you've got to meet people and their confidence.
So, I mean, if you want to get re-elected, you got to keep the home fans happy, and if you want to win football games and have a lot of fans come so you can pay your bills, you got to keep them happy.
Football and politics, it's about building Canada, it's about building communities in this country.
The game's a little bit more wide open than in the United States. A little different type of athlete, a little faster. It draws East and West together. It is Canada's game.
So I look at the CFL as being kind of much like our country. It's vast, it's large, and a lot of fun.
Next time you're watching your favorite football team, scout the players, coaches, and owners for potential recruits for the Parliament of Canada. And please enjoy the game.